25 underrated bands from 1970s that deserve more love. The 1970s saw massive musical innovation and legends emerge, but many crucial bands were overshadowed. These unsung architects sowed vital seeds for rock, metal, punk, and modern sounds, yet lacked deserved acclaim. Join us to rediscover their impact and explore why they often miss the spotlight. Hawkwind. Pigeonholing Hawkwind into a single genre is impossible. Their sound was a swirling, chaotic nebula of hard rock, acid rock, prog, psychedelic, and proto-punk, often dubbed space rock, a genre they largely defined. They were sonic astronauts, constantly pushing boundaries and crafting a truly otherworldly experience, utilizing extensive electronic effects, synths, oscillators, spoken word passages, and repetitive, driving, hypnotic song structures designed for maximum trance-inducing effect. From their 1970 debut album, they had an incredibly prolific 70s decade with numerous studio albums, like the classic live Space Ritual, which captured their legendary stage show, exploring new depths of cosmic music, a period which notably included Lemmy Kilmister's distinctive bass sound before he founded Motorhead. While success was mainly confined to Europe with hits like Silver Machine, their influence crossed the Atlantic, inspiring American bands Monster Magnet, Ministry with their pioneering sound. Their uncompromising pursuit of a unique, often challenging sonic vision made them more of a cult phenomenon than a mainstream name. Dead Boys. With the outrageous Stiv Bators at the epicenter, the Dead Boys were a primal punk storm sweeping the nascent American scene, representing the dangerous, nihilistic, and self-destructive edge of the movement far more intensely than many of their peers. Their two albums, Young, Loud, and Snotty, 1977, and We Have Come for Your Children, 1978, perfectly encapsulated raw energy and uncompromising rebellion, featuring the razor-sharp, slashing guitar sound of Cheetah Chrome, which defined their aggressive attack. Though not as famous as the Ramones or the Stooges, they possessed an absolute authenticity, living and dying by the punk ethos and notorious for their chaotic, often violent, unpredictable live shows that blurred the lines between performance and reality. Their greatest legacy, Sonic Reducer, became an immortal anthem covered by numerous major artists, Pearl Jam, Guns N' Roses, testifying to the band's enduring power and influence. Their short career and infamous reputation perhaps prevented greater success, but only solidified their underground legend status as punk's true wild side. The Sylvers. The family band The Sylvers from Watts, California, might be the most underappreciated R&B act of the 1970s, despite considerable talent and success. With a large lineup of siblings, sometimes 9 members, they created a vibrant mix of soul, funk, and pop across 8 albums, presenting another version of the Jackson 5, but with more members. The classic disco hit Boogie Fever topped the Billboard charts in 1976, but they also scored other top 20 hits like Hot Line and High School Dance, demonstrating chart prowess. Their music was characterized by tight family harmonies, synchronized choreography, and youthful energy. Though often overlooked, perhaps due to the difficulty of managing such a large group's image and stylistic shifts, the Sylvers deserve rediscovery for their joyful contributions to 70s R&B and pop. The Ides of March. Don't judge the Ides of March solely by their massive hit Vehicle. This innovative band from suburban Chicago, led by Jim Peterick, later of Survivor, was a formidable force in the Midwest, notable for blending rock with the sophisticated arrangements of jazz and the soulful punch of R&B horns. Their unique fusion of rock energy and a powerful, dynamically arranged horn section created a distinctive, unmistakable signature that set them apart from typical rock bands of the era. Exploring beyond, Vehicle reveals gems like Superman or A Goodbye, showcasing their diversity and songwriting talent across albums, such as Common Bond, 1971, proving they were far more than just a one-hit wonder. Though they didn't achieve nationwide superstardom, perhaps because their sound defied easy categorization within prevailing radio formats, they left an indelible mark with their signature sound. Petherick's later success with Survivor further highlights the songwriting prowess simmering within this early venture. Blue Oyster Cult. Far beyond the image associated with Don't Fear, The Reaper, and the legendary SNL cowbell sketch, Blue Oyster Cult, BC, were masters of storytelling through hard rock soundscapes. Their music formed tapestries woven from complex narratives, fantastical imagery, and an air of mystery, often drawing inspiration from horror and science fiction literature, sometimes even collaborating with authors like Michael Moorcock. Hits like Burnin' For You or Godzilla showcase their ability to fuse potent riffs with captivating lyrics, transporting listeners to their distinct universe. With a virtuosic, often unconventional guitar work of Donald "Buck" Dharma, Roser played a central role. They carved out a unique territory where hard rock met intellect and mythology, asserting a profound influence on subsequent generations of rock and metal. Metallica covered astronomy. Their unique sound and distinct themes, coupled with an enigmatic, almost intellectual stage presence, perhaps explain why they didn't fully merge into the mainstream, but maintained a solid cult icon status. Budgie. Hailing from Wales, the power trio Budgie were unsung heroes crucial to the development of heavy metal, operating even before the NWOBHM tag existed and often unfairly overlooked despite their groundbreaking sound. With 7 albums in the 70s like Never Turn Your Back on a Friend or In for the Kill, they forged a powerful, uniquely heavy rock sound characterized by Tony Borges' inventive, often rhythmically complex guitar riffs that were heavier and more intricate than many contemporaries. Their greatest influence perhaps came when Metallica covered 2 of their songs, Bread Fan and Crash Course in Brain Surgery, introducing Budgie to a new generation and cementing their status as vital forefathers whose impact resonated deeply within the thrash metal scene. Their music was defined by Borges' riffs, Burke Shelley's distinctive, high-pitched yelping vocals, and intricate bass lines, and complex, sometimes prog-influenced song structures. Their uniqueness and occasional sonic eccentricity might have made them less accessible to the mass market, but created a distinct, enduring appeal for those seeking heavy, inventive rock music. Mott the Hoople. Even before punk, Mott the Hoople offered a blend of classic rock, in-roll, glam rock swagger, and an intelligent, somewhat cynical attitude, led by the charismatic Ian Hunter, a gifted storyteller. Rescued from the brink of breakup by David Bowie, who gifted them All the Young Dudes, that song became their biggest hit and redefined their image as reluctant glam heroes. However, albums like Mott, 1973, were packed with excellent self-penned tracks, all the way from Memphis' Honolulu Boogie, showcasing sharp observations on the rock and roll world. Their music balanced Mick Ralph's pre-Bad Company, powerful guitar riffs with intelligent lyrics, influencing later punk and new wave acts, The Clash. They were the persistent voice of the dedicated rock and roll fan, both loving and disillusioned with the scene itself. April Wine. Kicking off the list is an icon deserving a place in the Canadian rock pantheon, April Wine. They weren't just a fleeting meteor flash, but diligent builders laying a solid foundation in the 70s, setting the stage for later glory. Under the leadership of the multi-talented Miles Goodwin, their sound truly ignited, characterized by a balance between powerful guitar riffs and memorable melodic hooks, creating broad appeal that comfortably straddled hard rock and AOR. The album On Record, 1972, was their passport onto the North American rock map, coupled with explosive stage energy and relentless touring that helped build a loyal fan base across North America. known for delivering consistent, high-energy performances. They continued to solidify their position with subsequent success throughout the decade via albums like Stand Back, 1975, proving their enduring creativity through their formula of hard rock infused with melody. This persistence and consistent musical quality cemented their status as unsung giants of Canadian rock, even before hitting their commercial peak in the 80s. Thin Lizzy. Hailing from Dublin, Thin Lizzy, under the charismatic and poetic leadership of Phil Lynott, was a unique hard rock force deeply imbued with Irish identity. Beyond hits like The Boys Are Back in Town or Jailbreak, their distinctiveness lay in blending hard rock muscle with Celtic melodic sensibilities, lyrical storytelling about working-class life and outsider figures. The masterful harmonized twin-lead guitar artistry, Scott Gorham/Brian Robertson being the classic pair, later featuring Gary Moore, created their signature sound, both powerful and melodic. The live album Live and Dangerous, 1978, is considered one of the greatest live recordings ever, capturing their stage energy perfectly. The influence of their twin guitars and Lynott Street poetry shaped a powerful legacy, though Lynott's personal struggles cast a shadow over the band's later career. Nazareth. Scottish hard rock band Nazareth boasts an incredibly enduring career with over 20 albums, a testament to their blue-collar work ethic and pure love for performing rock music. While best known for Hair of the Dog, with its iconic riff and snarling vocal hook, and the classic power ballad cover Love Hurts from the 1975 album Hair of the Dog, their story runs deeper, encompassing a string of other quality, hard-hitting 70s albums like Razamanaz, 1973, produced by Deep Purple's Roger Glover. Through numerous changes, they steadfastly maintained their signature hard rock sound, blending bluesy grit with catchy melodies, anchored for decades by the instantly recognizable, sandpaper raspy vocals of Dan McCafferty, arguably one of rock's most distinctive voices. Their ability to connect with audiences across generations, especially the working-class rock fanbase, fostered a loyal following worldwide. Nazareth exemplifies the power of persistence, even if they lacked the glamorous image or critical adoration bestowed upon some contemporaries. Montrose. Montrose wasn't just Sammy Hagar's launchpad. They were a hard rock powerhouse fueled by the phenomenal guitar talent of Ronnie Montrose, who crafted a heavy, sharp, and influential guitar tone that set a standard for American hard rock in the early 70s. Their first two albums, Montrose, 1973, and Paper Money, 1974, were potent hard rock statements, laying groundwork for many bands to follow with their lean, powerful sound produced by Ted Templeman, who later worked with Van Halen. Ronnie Montrose was an innovator with searing riffs and explosive solos, blending blues grit with hard rock energy, greatly influencing even Van Halen later on, particularly in their heavier, riff-driven approach. Tracks like Bad Motor Scooter, Space Station 5, or Rock Candy are pure adrenaline shots, showcasing the band's raw power, though vocalist changes after Hagar impacted their stability and consistency. They were crucial pioneers of the heavier hard rock sound, deserving more recognition specifically for their groundbreaking and near-perfect debut album. Off-Broadway. Off-Broadway's debut album, On, 1979, is an underrated power pop gem, a perfect example of unfulfilled potential arriving perhaps just slightly too late in the decade. This Chicago band had the perfect formula, hard rock energy fused with brilliant melodic songwriting, echoing hometown heroes' Cheap Trick, but with their own sharp, energetic flair. Dù chỉ thành công cục bộ và có một hit nhỏ trên Billboard là Stay in Time, album On chứa đầy những ca khúc chất lượng như Bad Indicatino o The tiếp tổ chắc, thể hiện tiềm năng lớn lao với những đoạn hook guitar bắt tai và giọng hát cao vút, Holy Production. The track Full Moon Turn My Head Around became a live staple, capturing their pure rock and roll energy. Their short career, possibly hampered by label issues or the shifting musical landscape towards new wave, is regrettable, but remains an excellent power pop album, representing the vibrancy of American regional rock in the late 70s. Little Feat, the brainchild of Lowell George and Bill Payne. Little Feat was the definition of unique, defying easy classification by blending multiple strands of American roots music into a seamless, original whole. Their music was a masterful concoction of rock, country, blues, funk, and New Orleans R&B/jazz, creating a rich and complex musical gumbo characterized by slippery rhythms and sophisticated interplay. Though not superstars, they built a devoted following through 8 studio albums in the 70s like Sailin' Shoes or Dixie Chicken, admired by critics and peers, including Jimmy Page and Robert Palmer, for their impeccable musicianship and relentless creativity, especially in their captivating live performances. Their sound, defined by George's unique, lyrical slide guitar and Payne's sophisticated keyboards, alongside a sublimely funky rhythm section, was a journey through American music. Their influence spread to later generations. The Chicks, Fish, Bonnie Raitt, proving their ability to craft timeless, genre-transcending music, although complexity, lineup instability, and George's tragic early death might have limited their commercial success. REO Speedwagon. Before becoming kings of the 80s power ballad, REO Speedwagon was a genuine hard rock band in the 70s, defined by Gary Rickrath's fiery guitar playing and a relentless touring schedule that built a strong grassroots following in the American Midwest. Their early sound was raw, blues-infused, and full of energy, distinct from their later, more polished image, clearly evident on albums like REO 1971, TWO 1972, and Riding the Storm Out 1973, featuring Kevin Cronin's passionate vocals after replacing Terry Luttrell. Tracks like the title track, Riding the Storm Out, or Golden Country clearly showcase their hard rock credentials, often featuring dynamic guitar-keyboard interplay between Rich Rath and keyboardist Neil Doughty. The live album Live, You Get What You Play For, 1977, is powerful proof of their considerable stage might and raw hard rock essence during this often overlooked period. Their gradual shift towards a softer, more commercially oriented sound later in the decade brought massive success, but also inadvertently obscured their respectable and energetic hard rock roots. Wishbone Ash. With a career spanning 5 decades, Wishbone Ash might not be a household name, but their influence, especially regarding guitar playing, is vast and revolutionary. The heart of their sound was the innovative and intricate twin-lead guitar attack of Andy Powell and Ted Turner in the classic early lineup, blending blues, prog, folk, and creating sophisticated dual guitar harmonies that became their trademark. This pioneering approach profoundly influenced bands like Iron Maiden and Thin Lizzy, who developed the idea in their own directions. The classic album Argus, 1972, is their artistic peak, a perfect prog folk rock masterpiece. Though not achieving massive commercial success, perhaps because their music was too refined for mass appeal, Wishbone Ash are recognized as crucial innovators in developing the art of twin-lead guitar in rock music. Badfinger. Badfinger's story is a quintessential music industry tragedy, a case of immense Beatles-level talent destroyed by catastrophic business circumstances and managerial exploitation. Hailed as the next Beatles and signed to Apple Records, they achieved global success with perfect power pop hits like Come and Get It, written/produced by McCartney, No Matter What Day After Day, and Baby Blue, showcasing the brilliant, complementary songwriting talents of both Pete Ham and Tom Evans. However, financial and legal nightmares following the collapse of Apple Records, coupled with demonstrably corrupt management, led to heartbreaking personal tragedies with the suicides of Ham and Evans, extinguishing the band's enormous potential just as they were hitting their creative stride with albums like Straight Up, 1971. Despite the sad ending, their music, filled with gorgeous melodies, aching vocals, and tight harmonies, lives on, influencing countless power pop and alternative artists later on, from Cheap Trick to Teenage Fanclub. They are a painful reminder that artistic genius is tragically vulnerable to the dark side of the entertainment business. Poco. Born from the shadow of Buffalo Springfield, Poco, under the initial guidance of Richie Furay and Jim Messina, were pioneers who shaped the country rock genre, delivering a consistently warm, harmony-rich sound that emphasized strong songwriting and musicianship. With 10 albums in the 70s, they crafted a signature blend of folk, soft rock, and country, often featuring the prominent, shimmering sound of Rusty Young's pedal steel guitar, which became a defining element. Although they only had one top 20 hit, Crazy Love, 1978, their influence was immense, paving the way for the success of other Southern California bands like the Eagles, who directly benefited from Poco's sonic template and eventually recruited key members. Notably, the Eagles later welcomed two former Poco members, Randy Meisner, Timothy B. Schmidt, demonstrating Poco's foundational role. Lineup instability, with key members frequently leaving for potentially greater individual success, like Messina, forming Loggins and Messina, likely kept Poco from reaching the sustained commercial heights they deserved. Royce. Far exceeding the giant shadow of the ubiquitous Car Wash, Royce was a talented and versatile soul and R&B collective from Los Angeles, possessing a sophisticated, horn-driven funk sound blended with smooth balladry. The romantic ballad, I Want to Get Next to You, also hit the top 10, proving they were more than a novelty one-hit wonder and showcasing their ability to craft emotionally resonant slow jams. Success in the UK with Wishing on a Star, another timeless ballad penned by member Billy Ray Calvin, further confirmed their international appeal and the star quality of lead vocalist Gwen Dickey, aka Rose Norwald. Their music was a slick, well-produced blend of R&B, funk, and disco, characterized by tight horn arrangements orchestrated by member Kenny Copeland, infectious grooves perfect for the dance floor, and soulful vocals. While Car Wash remains their defining track, largely due to its movie association, Royce's legacy is much richer, perhaps unfairly typecast by that single massive success, overshadowing other quality albums like In Full Bloom, 1977. UFO. Despite a revolving door of legendary musicians, with Pete Way, Michael Schenker, and Phil Mogg forming the core during their golden era, UFO served as a crucial bridge between pioneering hard rock and a new wave of British heavy metal, NWOBHM, creating a template for melodic heavy metal. They might not have dominated the charts, but their impact on hard rock/heavy metal is immense, particularly through the guitar playing of Michael Schenker, who inspired countless later guitarists, like Metallica's Kirk Hammett. Tracks like Dr. Doctor, Rock Bottom, or Lights Out are classics, combining heavy riffs with strong melodies. The live album Strangers in the Night, 1979, is widely considered one of the greatest live albums ever, testament to UFO's stage power and lasting legacy. Lineup instability and personal issues may have prevented them from reaching the commercial zenith their potential suggested. The Suite. With a string of top 10 hits like Little Willie, The Ballroom Blitz, Fox on the Run, The Suite were pillars of 70s glam rock, influencing major bands later on from Def Leppard to Motley Crue. However, they're often ranked below Bowie, New York Dolls, and T-Rex, perhaps due to their bubblegum pop origins and a less artistic image. Their journey was a fascinating evolution from bubblegum, under the control of Chin and Chapman, to harder-edged rock as the band gained creative control, showcased on albums like Desolation Boulevard and Give Us a Wink. Their versatility, hit-making ability with signature high harmonies and stage energy were undeniable. The Suite deserve more recognition as key players who shaped the sound and style of glam rock/hard rock during that transitional period. The Runaways, as the launchpad for future rock icons Joan Jett and Lita Ford, and with the defiant anthem Cherry Bomb. The Runaways deserve celebration as pioneers who shattered barriers for young women in the male-dominated world of hard rock, facing intense sexism and condescension from the industry and press at the time. Ironically, they found greater success and appreciation in Japan than in their native US, where their rebellious jailbait image and powerful, aggressive music were more readily embraced by enthusiastic audiences. Their brief but intense career, 4 albums in roughly 2 years under the controversial guidance of manager Kim Foley, ended due to exhaustion, internal conflicts, and management issues common to young bands thrust into the spotlight. Though recognition came belatedly, their pioneering role in proving women could rock just as hard and command a stage has been acknowledged through films and documentaries. They were a potent force challenging gender stereotypes, leaving a legacy of raw power music, unapologetic attitude, and defiant spirit that directly influenced punk, hard rock, and the Riot Grrrl generation. Television. Amidst the CBGB scene, Television stood apart with a more complex and artistic sound than their punk contemporaries, forging a unique path in early post-punk. Led by the inventive, dueling guitars of Tom Verlaine and Richard Lloyd, they focused on intricate guitar interplay, extended song structures, and abstract, poetic lyrics inspired by French poets. Their debut album, Marquee Moon, 1977, is a masterpiece, one of rock history's most important albums, redefining guitar playing in rock with its long, winding, jazz-influenced solos. Despite critical acclaim, it wasn't a commercial success, and their influence on post-punk, U2, Echo and the Bunnymen, and alternative rock, Sonic Youth, Pavement, is immense. The complexity and somewhat intellectual nature of their music perhaps hindered mass appeal, but secured their legendary status among music connoisseurs. The Guess Who? Legends in their native Canada. The Guess Who are best known internationally for their 1970 hit, American Woman, a powerful anti-war anthem with a classic guitar riff. The 70s were their peak period, releasing 10 albums and numerous other hits like No Time, Share the Land, and Undone, led by the duo of Burton Cummings, versatile vocals/keyboards, and Randy Bachman invented guitar. Their music was a blend of hard rock, pop, jazz, and psychedelia, showcasing remarkable versatility. As one of the first Canadian bands to achieve major international success, their influence on their home country's music scene is undeniable, paving the way for many other artists. Their continued absence from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame remains controversial, possibly due to being perceived as too Canadian or their success waning after Bachman's departure. Big Star. Big Star is the definition of a cult band, revered by critics and musicians, but a commercial failure, a painful music industry paradox. Emerging from Memphis, the duo of Alex Chilton and Chris Bell, on the first album, crafted perfect power pop on the album's One Record, 1972, Radio City, 1974, and Third/Sister Lovers, fusing brilliant Beatles-K melodies with a fragile, melancholic edge. Their music was both bright and catchy, yet imbued with a subtle sadness, especially in Chilton's increasingly raw later compositions after Bell's departure. Despite failing upon release due to distribution issues and radio indifference, these 3 albums are now considered classics, profoundly influencing REM, The Replacements, Teenage Fanclub, and the entire alternative/indie rock generation. They prove that pioneering art often precedes its time and isn't recognized adequately in the moment. 25. Gentle Giant. In the realm of progressive rock, Gentle Giant was a unique and intensely complex entity, arguably the proggiest of the prog bands, though less known than Yes or Genesis. This British band, composed of multi-instrumentalists who often swapped instruments on stage, created incredibly intricate music blending rock, classical, especially medieval/Renaissance, jazz, and folk, utilizing unconventional song structures, complex counterpoint, and polyrhythms routinely. Albums like Octopus, 1972, or The Power and the Glory, 1974, demand close listening, challenging rock conventions at every turn. This complexity and artistic uncompromisingness limited their mass appeal, but cultivated an extremely loyal fan base, admiring their virtuosity. They represent the limitless exploration possible within music, a peak of technical skill and artistic ambition in 70s rock. As our journey through the 70s concludes, we've seen how many vital bands were overshadowed. These unsung architects crafted unique sounds and sowed crucial seeds for rock, metal, and punk, despite often missing mainstream success. Their enduring influence confirms the decade's depth. If you enjoyed discovering these gems, please like, share, and subscribe for more musical explorations.